Hello guys, welcome back again to another video. And today I just thought I'd do a video just briefly talking about exiting the market. So obviously everyone's talking about what's to come, the market hitting certain price targets and things like that, but it is quite easy to get carried away in the whole grand scheme of things and the whole euphoria, wave of emotions. So obviously at the moment, the last few months, it's been quite stagnant, but we will go up again soon, don't you worry about that. But it's quite easy to kind of lose sight of when to exit money when you're in healthy profit thinking it's going to go higher. So today I thought I'm just going to tell you what I'm basing my exit strategy off. Well, I'm basing it off a few things actually, because last cycle I ultimately held until the top of the market thinking it was going to go higher, and it didn't really. Cardano peaked significantly earlier than the rest of the market, so I had November in my head, it peaked early September, and then the rest is history. Held all the way down to the depths of the bear market, but I did accumulate. I did have a vision that things do go in 4-year cycles, so I did think, you know what, it's a perfect opportunity to accumulate when it's down 80%, 90%. I even accumulated some at 23 cents, so that was like over like 93%. So that was like what I did to get back into the market and lower my average price of entry. However, moving forward, I've had like a hypothesis. So my first hypothesis was that obviously last cycle in November the price of things heated up, so in order for my hypothesis to be on this November, last November had to also follow a similar pattern, in which it actually did after a 7-month downtrend. So that supported the hypothesis, even though at the time, because we was down quite a lot, 7 months it looked like it wasn't going to come, and then boom, out of nowhere it arrived. So I'm thinking this time around I want to get out at a very safe target overall. I'm thinking between low $3 to high $3, which for me would be like decent profit, as I've accumulated a lot at like the 30-40 cent range. But I'm thinking this time, if ADA does have its next leg up, which I believe it will in the next 90 days, I'm expecting to see low side $2, high side $3.50 ADA, and that would then confirm the next step of my hypothesis, is that around February time we have another leg up, just like how we did in November of last cycle and just like the November of last year. So if that's supported, I do believe ADA could go as high as like $5, $7. But equally, if it doesn't do that, so if in quarter one, let's say the price is pretty much the same, I would be looking to lower my exit strategy down from like the $3.50 range, maybe down to like $2, maybe even $1.75, just so I'm locking in some profit from that angle, and rather than basing it on being fixated on a specific price target like I was last cycle, which is kind of mad looking back. But I got in at $1 last cycle, and I was thinking of selling at $8, which looking back is actually crazy. And obviously this time around I factored in, okay, if I buy in lower my entry, I can get out much earlier, even if it does hit $10. If I'm out and it's less than $4, I've secured profit, and it's more likely going to happen rather than banking on something that's very unlikely or may not even come. So that's something that I factored in. Obviously the first hypothesis, big leg up November last year. Next hypothesis, big leg up within quarter one, and then my theory is that we'll have a giant third and final leg up in like the later part of this year. But I don't want to bank on it, especially with how things are going in the world at the moment. Anything can change, and obviously if everyone thinks something's going to happen, it probably won't happen. So I think the earlier I can get out, the better this time around. But however, that's one strategy that I'm kind of relying on. But some people want to do it as well, where you kind of scale out the market slowly, so it's not all at once. So then in that case, you're kind of locking in some profits, but equally if it does go up, you can kind of get the best of both worlds. So let's say, I don't know, if you're scaled out every 2 weeks, 20% of your portfolio at a certain point, it means that if it does have a blow off top in the November and it does go up like crazy, you kind of do reap the benefits of that as well. But then equally, if the market just goes down, then obviously you've got a lower exit strategy. So it's kind of like overall protecting you from both sides if it goes up and down. So one thing that I'd be looking out for when to consider even scaling up the market is BTC dominance, which I do keep banging on about, but it has all the relevance, trust me, I promise. Once BTC dominance crashes down to around the 45% mark, that in my head would be an imaginary stopwatch, an imaginary timer in which I'd be thinking about scaling up the market slowly. So whether that's scaling 10% of your portfolio out every 10 days until the end of the year, because that would be like a 3-month period or something like that. It means you're locking in those profits whilst you're still kind of in the market waiting for something else to happen. But by the time the latest part of the year does come, let's say, I don't know, it's October and you're 70% out of the market and the blow off top of November doesn't come, well, you're still locked in the profits anyway, so it's not even too much of an issue. But equally, if the blow off top does come in November and everything else 3x's or 4x's, you've got that last third in the market to be able to reap the rewards of the best time to be in the market. So that's another strategy that I know a lot of other YouTubers are doing, and a lot of people are doing as well. So I think maybe that would probably be the smartest thing to do if you're the average person, and obviously base it off BTC dominance and obviously a macroeconomic. If there's obviously signs of a recession, or if World War III breaks out, that's going to be like a black swan event. That's obviously going to have crazy implications on the market. But currently, BTC dominance, I reckon we could come back to this 60% range, and I reckon it will reject off the 60% range and start gradually coming down in February, March. So if that does play out in alt season and everything does 3x, I think from that point onwards, that's when the imaginary stopwatch timer comes out, and then you should be looking to scale out the market ever so slightly. But equally as well, it could even be the case that some of you haven't even bought into the market yet, and personally, it still isn't too late. Like, we've had the first move in November, but I still believe with 2/3 of the market left to go, especially for altcoins. Maybe not for Bitcoin, but especially for altcoins. So I think even if you bought some altcoins now, I did your research, 0% tax, US based tokens, I still believe you can make a 5 or 6x cycle. My exit strategy is just playing it extremely safe because I've been burnt before, and I want to lock in some profit because I've got a lot of money in my portfolio, but I've got not much in my bank. So I think this time around it's about locking in and actually converting those profits into fiat currency. So those are like two different strategies I'm kind of torn between. I'm kind of leaning more towards the first one, the hypothesis one, because that's worked out quite well. And obviously the first step of my hypothesis played out with November move, so I'm waiting for the next step, and if that doesn't, I'll learn my extra strategy. So it's kind of like shifting a target rather than having something fixed in place that won't necessarily arrive. But let me know what you guys think. If you've got an extra strategy, if you're even thinking that far ahead, if you even think we'll enter a bear market, like that's another point as well. Every single time I enter a new cycle, there's always the narrative that this time is different, there's institutional money in, we're not going to have a crash. But so far we've had a crash every single time, people. Like back in 2021, I remember seeing a post on the Facebook group chat of Cardano, someone saying they've got their grandparents to buy Cardano at $3, saying like, oh, all the institutional money's in now, it's never going to go down. And I'm afraid to say that the asset dropped 94% from when their grandparents bought in. So there's always going to be these narratives in the market, whether it's, oh, Bitcoin's a scam, it's going to zero, or the opposite, Bitcoin's amazing, like it's going to keep going up. You've always got to kind of be balanced between both of those sides. Nothing on the extreme side of either of those things will ever likely happen. It's always kind of going to be somewhere in the middle. And whenever something becomes a popular opinion, it'll quickly get shut down. So at the moment, the sentiment's a bit bearish. I think if the sentiment goes worse even more in the short term, things will suddenly flip again and it's back to the skies. So yeah, that's something to look out for in this market. And obviously it's impossible to time things as well, so scaling out gradually is probably the safest thing to do, rather than trying to hover over that sell button for something that might not arrive. Let me know your thoughts, guys. If you've got an extra strategy, what is it, what coins you've invested in, and what videos you'd like me to do next. Thanks for watching, everyone, and hope you have a great day.